sorry, your astrological sign is incorrect. If you want to know and ask an astronomer what your zodiac sign is, you'd probably make him flee right away. But why? Because that query indicates to him that you most likely believe in horoscopes and astrology. And an astronomer understands that stars and planets have no influence on our life. Why? Just, astrology is not the same as astronomy. Stars are nothing more than gas balls that burn hydrogen and helium before dying and generating more stars or black holes. Over time, someone attempted to make sense of some star patterns, and each society had its own constellations. The Chinese constellation for the bull, Taurus, is an ox, whereas the one for the twins, Gemini, is a tiger. Of course, we all agree on the names we assign to constellations nowadays, regardless of country or cultural background. Now, we see stars projected on a two-dimensional sphere, the sky, but they are distributed in a three-dimensional space, which means that stars in the Ursa Major constellation, for example, are light years apart in depth, and are not lying on the same bidimensional plane. This is pretty obvious. But there's one more thing, your zodiac sign is incorrect. Why? Simply put, Earth's axis precession is the answer to this issue. However, if we want to comprehend it better, we should go back to 1894 BC, when the zodiac was founded by Babylonians. Babylon, one of the most famous ancient Mesopotamian cities, was located roughly where modern-day Iraq is today. The Babylonians were known to have drawn maps of the fixed stars and constellations. Prior to the designation of particular zodiac signs, the apparent planetary passage across each constellation looked to be significant. Because the Babylonians used a 12-month calendar, they allocated a zodiac sign to each month. According to earthsky.com, the Sun appears in front of, or in, several constellations during the course of a year. For example, the Sun appears in Gemini one month and Cancer the next. The dates stated in the newspaper's horoscope indicate when the Sun is in a specific astrological sign. The contemporary zodiac signs are a direct outcome of the beliefs and observations of the Babylonians, who lived almost 4,000 years ago, demonstrating the significance of zodiac signs in world history. The zodiac signs and the dates associated with each are listed below. Then Greeks and Romans began looking at the skies and used nearly identical zodiac signs. The world then stretched throughout the world. So here we are, saying that everybody born in June is a Gemini. But, since the Babylonians, we have also achieved advances in science. What has research revealed about the Earth's axis? The Greek astronomer Hipparchus noted that the locations of the stars had altered in a systematic way from earlier Babylonian, Chaldean, measures when compiling his renowned star catalogue, finished in 129 BCE. This showed that the observing platform Earth, rather than the stars, was moving. Precession is a type of motion that consists of a cyclic wobble in the direction of the Earth's axis of rotation with a period of 25,772 years. We now know that it precesses around the axis of the ecliptic plane. What does it imply? Precession is the shift in the direction of a body's rotation axis in rotary motion. In other words, if the axis of rotation of a body revolves around a second axis, the body is said to be in precession with regard to the second axis. This means that as time passes, the Earth's axis will point out different parts of the sky within the same season. This also implies that as time passes, we will view a different area of the night sky, as well as different constellations, during the same time of year. After approximately 26.000 years, the axis will return to its original location. So, it's been a while since the Babylonians invented astrology. This means that while they were in the Gemini constellation in June, we are no longer in the Gemini constellation since the Earth's axis points to the Taurus constellation in June owing to precession. If you're familiar with zodiac signs, you'll notice that we don't belong to the zodiac sign we believed we did. They are all currently moved for around a month due to precession. Let's be clear about something. You are Cancer, not a Leo, and you're a Virgo, not a Libra. Isn't it amazing? But why does the Earth's axis rotate? Because the Earth's equator is slanted in relation to the Earth's orbital plane around the Sun, known as the ecliptic plane, the Earth's equatorial bulge is likewise tilted in relation to the plane along which the Sun and Moon travel. The Moon and Sun exert gravitational tug on the Earth's equatorial bulge, attempting to draw the equatorial section of the Earth into alignment with the ecliptic plane. This tug, together with the rotational motion of the Earth on its axis, the revolution of the Earth around the Sun, and the revolution of the Moon around the Earth, causes the Earth to wobble about its axis of rotation, comparable to spinning. As a result of the Earth's non-spherical shape and the gravitational tidal forces of the Moon and Sun applying torque, as they seek to drag the equatorial bulge into the plane of the ecliptic, the Earth's axis precesses. The precession of the Earth's axis has several visible impacts. First, the positions of the celestial poles appear to rotate in circles against the fixed backdrop of stars, completing one circuit in around 26,000 years. Thus, while Polaris is currently located near the North Celestial Pole, this will change throughout time, and other stars will become the North Star. Kochab, the brightest star in the bowl of the Little Dipper, positioned 16 degrees from Polaris, was the previous pole star. It held that position from 1500 BC until AD 500. It was not as precise in its day as Polaris is today. Kochab and its neighbor Pherkad are now known as the guardians of the pole, meaning Polaris. Thuban in the constellation Draco, which was the pole star in 3000 BC, is much fainter at magnitude 3.67, one-fifth as brilliant as Polaris. It is now invisible in light-polluted metropolitan skies. Polaris will be farther away from the pole than it is currently due to its proper motion when it becomes the North Star again around 27,800, but it was closer to the pole in 23,600 BC. It is more difficult to detect the South Celestial Pole in the sky right now since that area is a relatively bland portion of the sky, and the putative South Pole star, Sigma Octantis, is scarcely visible to the human eye even under ideal conditions, with brightness 5.5. That will alter between the 80th and 90th centuries, when the South Celestial Pole passes through the false cross. This condition is also depicted on a star map. The South Pole's direction is shifting toward the Southern Cross constellation. The Southern Cross has pointed to the South Celestial Pole for the last 2,000 years or thereabouts. As a result, unlike in the period of the ancient Greeks, the constellation is difficult to see from subtropical northern latitudes. The Southern Cross can be seen from as far north as Miami, approximately 25 degrees north, but only in the winter, early spring. Polaris will be succeeded by Gamma Cephei in the Cepheus constellation in roughly 3,200 years. The South Celestial Pole currently lacks a bright star to designate its location, but precession will lead bright stars to become South stars over time. As the celestial poles shift, there is a corresponding gradual shift in the apparent orientation of the entire star field as seen from a specific location, on Earth. For the same reasons, the apparent position of the Sun relative to the backdrop of stars at some seasonally fixed time slowly regresses a full 360 degrees through all 12 traditional zodiac constellations at a rate of about 50.3 seconds of arc per year, or 1 degree every 71.6 years. But why is it called precession? Both precession and precession are motion-related concepts. The term precession comes from the Latin precedia, which means to precede, to come before, or earlier, and precession comes from the Latin precedere, which means to march forward, to advance. In general, the term precession refers to a group of items going ahead. The stars are observed to move from east to west from Earth daily due to the Earth's diurnal motion, and yearly due to the Earth's revolution around the Sun. At the same time, the stars can be seen to somewhat anticipate such motion, at a pace of around 50 arcseconds every year, a phenomenon known as precession of the equinoxes. Now that we've shown why your zodiac sign is incorrect, you may be wondering why some individuals still believe in astrology. Why do people continue to believe in this hoax? There are various causes for this, according to experts. Human beings are continuously looking for narratives to help them weave their history, present, and future together through their aspirations and expectations, which is where astrology comes in. For some, astrology helps to establish and validate the sense of self, And there are dozens of websites on the internet that pander to this through lists of personality attributes attributed to different sun signs. Furthermore, astrology provides a sense of belonging. It allows you to perceive yourself as a part of the world. Oh, I'm Gemini, here's where I fit in. According to studies, people frequently turn to astrology in response to stress and anxiety. Under high-stress conditions, the individual is willing to use astrology as a coping device even if he does not believe in it under low-stress conditions, stated Graham Tyson, professor of psychology at South Africa's University of the Witwatersrand. Uncertainty is another significant factor that draws people to astrology. According to studies, not knowing what could happen is more stressful than knowing that something horrible would surely happen. The astrological framework, through its forecasts, assists humans in achieving the certainty they seek. If they're going through a time of disruption, they suddenly start to take what's written about their sign much more seriously, said astrologer Jonathan Kainer, who writes horoscope articles for the Daily Mail. Aside from the big-picture uncertainty, astrology can assist some people deal with their day-to-day fears and instill a sense of control. Astrology can sometimes give us an irrational sense of hope that when we read that a positive change is going to happen in our life, it will actually happen, reinforcing a sense of control in the future. What are your thoughts on astrology? Is that something you take seriously or not? Please let us know in the comments.